Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Hi guys, and welcome to another Fool of the Week. Well, this week's fool is Charlie Mullins. He's the owner of Pimlico Plumbers, and he has some issues with the furlough scheme. So let's hear what he had to say.
Really good to have you on the show. I know that you've been well publicised in the last couple of days about your concerns regarding furlough and the furlough scroungers. You've had to fire a number of your staff who refused to work on Friday, go back to work on Friday, and you've basically seen quite a bad attitude from some of your employees. Tell me more.
That's right. Well, basically, when the furlough happened, I think we had approximately about 100 office staff that went on it, and 50 of them fortunately stayed with the business and managed to work it through. And we've gradually brought them back. And you know, when this change in the furlough came about, which is 1st of August, my decision was I'm not happy to pay people to sit at home to do nothing. So we brought as many back as we could. The ones that didn't want to come back or still had sort of very weak excuses, we either made redundant or...
They had weak excuses. There is a pandemic. Does this guy not understand that there is a pandemic and that the government asked people to stay at home? That's why people were furloughed in the first place. Because there was a pandemic. The government asked people to stay at home. And the Chancellor pumped a huge amount of money into this scheme in order to protect the public.
We got rid of them. Yeah.
Yes. Now, are you worried that perhaps 4 months of being stuck at home, being paid to do nothing, is going to produce a generation of lazy ne'er-do-wells?
So, what a loaded question. Well, first of all, there's no disagreement here. It's like I completely respect your position to fire people who were told by the government not to go to work. And of course, these people don't feel safe returning to work. There is this idea that, well, people can just come back to work, and if they don't, well, they're going to lose their job. Yes, and there's also the problem that there is a bloody pandemic. People are afraid to return because they're afraid they're going to get infected and they're going to bring it back to their family and friends. And they don't want to do that. They're making a choice. Which is more important, the health of my family or my job? And many people, unfortunately, don't have that choice. Many people are being forced back into work because they're going to lose their job and it'll be very difficult to find another one. And this guy, this owner, doesn't give a crap about his staff. Because if he did, he would encourage them to stay at home until they feel safe or until he has made the workplace safe.
Yeah, of course it is. I mean, they start to think they're entitled to it. And, if the...
Sorry, they were entitled to it. They feel that they were entitled to it. They were told by the government not to go to work. This is not the government saying, if you feel like staying at home, stay at home. No, it was, you have to stay at home.
Furlong didn't start making changes. It needs to be scrapped anyhow. But you're just going to have a nation that, are going to be the same as the people that unfortunately abuse benefits. Not all of them, of course. Some people need to be on the benefits and a lot of people don't need to be on them. And I think...
What do you mean a lot of people abuse benefits? A lot of people are abusing the furlough scheme. Do you have numbers to support this?
You have the same with furlough. They had an opportunity to come back, but, these are the same people that they run out of the office within 5 minutes of being told they're going to get 80% of their wages. The same people that was still going out barbecue.
Sorry, but they were that ran out of the office when they were told they were going to get 80% of their salary. They were, first of all, they were told to leave the office. And they were told they would receive 80% of their salary. So 80% of their salary is for them to live. If they can't work, if they're told to stay at home, then it's by right that the government support them.
Queues and beaches, but according to them, they don't want to come back to work because it's not safe. We put in every possible safe measurement that we had to put in fairly promptly. Social distancing, masks, footwear, sanitisers, completely. And, you know, we have a safe working environment. If people don't come back to work, you're going to have...
What's interesting about this is that he will not publish this. He will not publish what he has actually done. He has said it here on the radio. He said, yeah, we've put in place social distancing and sanitizing and cleaning or whatever. Yes, that's okay to say on the radio, but you haven't published your plan. The government hasn't forced companies to publish their plans. So if imagine you're an employee and you ask your boss, have you implemented COVID protection measures for us? And the boss goes, yeah. Can I see the plan? No. Would you feel safe coming back to work?
More and more unemployment. You know, we need to come to work. We need to go and buy a coffee, go and buy a beer, go and buy a lunch. We need to get things circulating again. And, you know, it's not going to happen by sitting at home.
What's your reaction to the Labour Party, who have called for an extension to the furlough scheme, arguing that it's ending too soon?
I could say it in one word, but I won't. Yeah, look, it's all very well for them saying it, you know, but they've got to remember that, you know, the taxpayer is going to be continuing paying for this for years. So why would you prolong it? What I think...
But it'll be much worse for the taxpayer if you have to continually lock down the country because you have spikes in infections.
What they should do is stop it and then start a new scheme for the ones that have definitely got to be on it, for industries where they can't go back to work, yeah. Or generally these people have got underlying health issues.
But how do you determine whether somebody has an underlying health issue unless they're tested? And there isn't sufficient testing going on at the minute. So you're saying that people should be allowed to stay at home if they are a risk. Okay, so if some of your staff are a risk, are you going to allow them to stay at home? And how do you determine whether they're a risk or not? You know, the problem is not that people don't want to come back to work. The problem is people don't feel safe coming back to work. And you can say all you want on the radio, but if you're not willing to publish what you've actually done, then why should people trust you?
Or somebody in their house that has got that situation. It needs to be stopped and maybe come up with another scheme. But, you know, it was madness to start with giving people 80% of their money not to come to work. I mean, that can't be right, can it?
What was the alternative? To give them nothing? To say, you have to stay at home and we're not going to give you any support? And what would people do? How would they feed themselves? How would they pay the bills? How would they pay their mortgages or their rent? What would happen in your eyes if you told people to stay at home and didn't give them any support? It's okay for you because you have a very expensive apartment or house and you probably have a lot of money in the bank account, so that if the government told you to stay at home, it wouldn't make any difference to you. It would be very little impact on your life. But you want people to return to work because you need to maintain your lifestyle. You don't care about the staff. You care about them working to maintain your lifestyle.
No, we've been asking our audience throughout the show, Charlie, about whether coronaphobia is actually bankrupting Britain, that our fear of COVID-19 is greater than the actual threat, given that, of course, tragically, there have been 46,000 fatalities.
So if people are dying and there's a risk of it being spread, how is that a phobia? A phobia is irrational fear. It's not an irrational fear. We have seen the consequences of it. We've seen what it can do.
Many of those people in vulnerable groups, older, comorbidities. The vast majority of our 66 million people are able to go to work and probably have been able to go for quite a long time.
You're exactly right there. Look, you know, obviously the people that have died and suffer from the illness is tragic. Yeah. But as you said, they're normally of a certain age or certainly sort of health issues. look, we need to go back to work. I mean, it's as simple as that, really. I mean, if you look, we had 100.
This is so ridiculous. Just send people back to work. And this argument about, well, it only kills old people. This is a very worrying argument on the right. They say, well, it doesn't kill young people. Yes, but young people can still get infected, and young people can actually still die. Yes, they die at a smaller rate than the older people, but they transmit it to the older people. Should we not care about older people? Is it because they don't produce for the economy that we can throw them under a bus? This is ridiculous. I'm going to end the video here, guys, because this is going to go on for too long. But our fool of the week is the Pimlico Plumbers boss, who doesn't understand that there's a pandemic, and he doesn't understand that forcing people back into work is just going to make it worse for the economy and for him. Let me know what you think in the comment section, guys. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot. Why not become a Patreon and enjoy access to our Discord server where we share news, chat, and have some fun? If you become a patron, you can also make video suggestions on topics that are important to you. Check it out via the link in the description.